fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I hope you are ready for a chatty one because we are going to be discussing all of your indie makeup hot takes, your most controversial opinions. I'm going to be sharing with you my perspective on things. If I agree with you, disagree, maybe I can elaborate a little bit, maybe we can laugh at some of the hot takes, and some of them are a little bit more on the serious side. I really hope you enjoy this one. I would love to have a conversation with you down below on anything we're discussing in today's video. I'm sure we'll have some different opinions on things since we're different people with different experiences, and that's completely okay. Let's just keep it respectful and kind, and let's jump on in. Okay, so I don't know how much I'm going to be mentioning the products that I'm using on my skin, but ooh, that made me flinch. But I will make sure to have everything listed down below. The first hot take I have here is if a brand doesn't show swatches before launch, I'm not buying it. Another commenter went on to say that they will not even buy a palette if they have not seen an influencer on YouTube that they trust swatch/review the palette because brand swatches are always too good. And honestly, I feel like both of these takes are extremely valid. I too have decided not to purchase a palette before because there were no swatches available. And I was just like just the principle of it. It's like, how are you gonna release this for sale and not even show anything? Like, I've also had the experience where I bought something based on a brand's swatches and then I got it in person. I was like, this looks like a whole different palette. This hot take kind of reminded me of why I appreciate getting PR so much. I feel like a lot of people have this idea that if you want PR, it's just because you want free makeup, but really it being free, like, yeah, that's nice, but the real advantage is the timing. If you have the ability to like talk about a palette and get your review up and get swatches up for people before the launch, it is just genuinely so much more helpful. So I always appreciate brands that like go out of their way and are super organized and send PR before the launch. And one of the best brands about that, in my opinion, like as an influencer, is Oden's Eye. I always get their releases like at least 2 weeks to a month before they come out. I never feel rushed to review the product. I almost always have time to get a good video up that I feel will help you guys out. There's also a hot take that says Kaleidos doesn't excite me anymore. Genuinely, this doesn't even feel like a hot take. This just feels like a fact. It's kind of sad because I think that Kaleidos was affected a lot by COVID, and like I still wish nothing but the best for them, but I feel like for a while there they were literally the top indie brand. Even people who like really only do mainstream makeup were talking about them, and now it's kind of just dead silent. So a hot take that so many of you wrote to me about, like I think this might be the thing that you guys are the most in agreement on, at least according to the people who commented. So this is that there are way too many multi-chromes and palettes, too many special shades. You don't need that much. You just need like one or two. Specifically, this comment made me laugh, so I wanted to read it out loud. They said, multi-chromes have become redundant. A pink that shifts yellow and green, groundbreaking. And I truly do feel that as well. Sometimes when I'm swatching new eyeshadow palettes, I'm like, wow, this is really pretty. Like this is a really nice, intense multi-chrome. But I've definitely seen this shade a million times over. Like they are getting a little bit redundant. I feel like I try to do my best to tell you guys like when something is actually like special, when it stands out, when I'm like, this is unique. I have not seen this shift before. I haven't seen a shadow quite like this. You know, I try to let you know when something looks better than the rest. But I would agree, like the typical like black-based multi-chromes, specifically the one that's like ranging from like orange, yellow, green, and then also the one that's like purple, blue, green, like those two main ones. I bet you can even picture it in your mind. I feel like those are a little bit overdone. If you're a brand just hopping on the bandwagon now, you're definitely a little late. I even said that about the Blend Bunny Trove palette, which was like a little quad of multi-chromes. And I was like, this would have been so iconic a year or 2 years ago when you had to pay like $25 a pop for a multi-chrome. This little quad would have been amazing. But at this point, like, it's nice, but I have these shades. When I asked for hot takes, someone said, indie brands are not as nice as people think.
Okay.
That's your hot take?
Like nice as...
Okay.
That's what you're gonna answer?
Well, I was just gonna laugh at it.
Oh, you got a little White Claw.
I totally get where you guys are coming from with this opinion, because it's like if you really like a brand, you like the color story, but you don't want to pay like over $100 just because there's a bunch of special shadows. Like, I totally get it. And for me, it's kind of hard because like when I'm reviewing something, it's like, you know, like sometimes I feel like it's worth the price when you have so many special shades. But I guess that's kind of something to keep in mind, you know, just a different perspective is like, maybe we don't need that many special shades in every palette to like still get the overall vibe. So I hear you. I am not gonna sugarcoat it. This next hot take had me like, what have I been doing this whole time? They said everyone should stop tapping off their brushes anywhere near their face because years of inhaling powder is not encouraged in any other field. And tell me why I literally never thought about this ever. Like, how much powder are we breathing in as makeup consumers? I feel like I'm gonna be doing my best from now on out to be like tapping off all the way over here. So the next hot take I have here, someone said they're hesitant to try and buy from indie brands because of quality control issues. They said that they know like technically it could happen to a big brand as well, but in their brain, smaller brands are just more scary. And I mean, I can definitely see where that fear would come from. I have seen smaller brands get away with things that I don't think a bigger brand would. Not necessarily like quality control, like something like with big bad ingredients, just with how they run their business in general. But like they said, it definitely could happen with a big brand or a small brand. And the one thing I will say is nice is that in the indie beauty community, if there's an issue with something, I feel like everyone speaks up about it. We all talk about it. We bring it to light. Like, for example, like when there's been eyeshadow palettes that have ended up getting mold, like I feel like, you know, if you're looking for reviews, if you're looking for information, it's definitely out there. But also, like, big brands get away with things all the time. Like, you hear horror stories. I also had someone ask me to share my take on rampant consumerism in the beauty industry. And I can understand that, like, how this is a problem. But I also feel like sometimes people place blame in areas where there shouldn't be. Like, you know, I've had blame placed on me in the past where it's like, you're showing all these eyeshadow palettes and you're doing this and that. And it's like, well, you completely missed the point. Like, I'm not trying to pretend that I'm just your normal everyday consumer and you guys need to own 400 eyeshadow palettes. Never did I say that. This is literally my job. When I'm reviewing a product, I'm trying to help you decide whether to purchase it or not, if it'll work for you, if it's good quality, if it's worth the money, if it'll be what you want it to be. It's not supposed to be like you need to buy every single one of these palettes. And I personally do my very best to not push like any type of like, you need to buy this, you need to buy it now, like hurry, run fast, go purchase this like type of information. I feel like I just try to say like, I think you might like this palette if you like this style, or if you like special shadows, if you like buildable shadows, if you like the most pigmented shadows, then this might be for you. Whatever the information is that I'm giving, it's to help you make an informed decision so that hopefully you don't go out and buy every single eyeshadow palette and waste a ton of money on things that you don't love or that wouldn't work for your personal preference. It's like, I get it. We all have our personal responsibility. And like, for one thing, like on the moral scale, like I've never been someone who just like buys a bunch of stuff to review it and then return it, because I have heard of other YouTubers doing that. And to me, that's a little sketchy. I totally understand like loving to buy new makeup. I still get such a thrill from it, but I also understand that you can appreciate something and think it's beautiful and not buy it. I don't know if that's what you wanted to hear, but that's my thoughts. I mean, it's definitely a complicated subject, but I know as someone who like does YouTube, I feel like I get an unnecessary amount of hate about this topic, and I'm just like, I'm literally trying to help my audience. Okay, is that not so much fun? That was the Sickly Sweet palette from Blend Bunny. So another comment that I got from you guys so much was that you hate pre-orders and they're just ridiculous. Like some of these brands are taking the longest time to send palettes out and you're just over it. And I have mixed opinions on this one. I feel like sometimes pre-orders do make sense, especially for an indie brand. They make sense in terms of like, okay, you came out with a palette, it sold out really fast, and now you're like, okay, but I don't know how many more people are gonna wanna buy this. If they pre-order it, then I can provide the exact amount that is needed. But it also needs to be realistic. Like if you're just doing like these open-ended pre-orders and like 50,000 people make an order and then it takes 9 months for your palettes to get out, that is crazy, and I know we've definitely seen some indie brands come into that trouble before, and it turned a lot of people off from the brand. But I feel like if you're doing a realistic amount and you're just trying to make your consumers happy, it's sold out really fast, you're trying to have an option, and you can fulfill the promised time and normal time, then I get it. So it's like, sometimes it's okay, and then sometimes it is truly ridiculous. I feel like one brand that I really love how they do their pre-orders is Adept. They always guesstimate a longer processing time and then end up delivering a little bit early to cover themselves and to make sure that you will have your product in the time frame that was stated, and even less. It's better to be like a nice little surprise than to take longer than what you thought it was going to be. And it's kind of funny because like so many of you were like, I hate pre-orders, but then there's so many people you see who are like begging for a pre-order to like, please just let it be available, anything for me to get my hands on it. Another good one here is if you don't list the ingredients in your products on the site somewhere, I don't trust them and I will not buy them. And that's another like totally reasonable opinion. Lots of people have allergies, lots of people have sensitivities. I feel like it's just lazy on the brand's part to not list the ingredients, or they might not be listing the ingredients because if you copy and paste them and Google them, you'll find that they're actually wholesale. You'll find every other brand that has the exact ingredients in the exact same order. So one of the only hot takes that I was like, I truly disagree with you, is I got a few comments that are saying there is no such thing as a new color story. This one says, brands launch stuff in pretty packaging, we fall for it and buy it even though what's inside is not really anything new. Someone else said, I feel like I keep seeing the same colorful palette over and over again from indies. Feels like the inverse of the era when every brand at Sephora kept churning out warm neutral palettes. And I can see the overall concept, like, yeah, there is more color and like some indie brands are doing similar things, but I don't know. I just don't agree with the idea that there's like no new color stories. I feel like there's so many times when I'm reviewing a palette and someone will comment and be like, oh, like this looks exactly like such and such palette. And then I look at them together and I'm like, these are literally like so different. They're not even close at all. Lastly, the hottest of hot takes is gonna be about Odin's Eye. Someone said Odin's Eye is overhyped by the people who get it in PR. And y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I have a little conspiracy theory going on here because I've gotten a lot of comments recently that are like, I hate Odin's Eye. Odin's Eye is not worth the hype. I had someone the other day who was like, Odin's Eye's Christmas palettes were trash. And I'm just like confused because my palettes from Odin's Eye are literally so good. Like the formula is stunning. The shimmers are super special. Like I've never had any issues with the matte blending. And I've gotten a decent amount of comments, like enough comments to notice lately that are just like, Odin's Eye is not it. And I'm like, I don't get it. But then I was thinking about it and I'm like, everything I've ever gotten from Odin's Eye has been in PR. So part of me wants to buy like some of the palettes I already have and compare. Like, is this ridiculous? Is this something you'd want to see, like Odin's Eye PR versus like actually purchasing their products? Like, is it a real thing? Is there some difference? Because some comments I've gotten have made me think that there is. And I don't want to believe that because it's like, it's so silly. It's like, why would a brand make a few palettes better just for influencers? And then like for their actual consumers, their paying customers, they're not as good. Like, why would they do that? But I promise that the hype that I've given Odin's Eye has been truthful to my experience, So let me know if that's a video you want to see. I also have a comment here that says there's a conspiracy theory that Odin's Eye is actually run entirely out of China. May be true, and the owner is just Swedish. They said, I don't think it matters at all because Chinese made makeup is great. The owner made the brand Swedish theme because they are a Swedish person, and the reason everyone is upset is just racism. And low-key, I agree. This is one of those comments that I get from people that I just like erase immediately when they're like, I hate Odin's Eye because they're made in China. And I'm just like, how, you know how many makeup brands are made in China? Like, why is it specifically Odin's Eye that you have an issue with? Is it because you thought that they weren't? Like, I don't know. You just seem angry. So yeah, I definitely think there is some xenophobia going on there. Like, if you don't like the brand for other reasons, like if you don't like that they don't have the best swatches on people of color, totally understood. But if you're just gonna go after them for being made in China, don't agree. And I did get a comment about that as well. And I have talked about this before where I've been like what's up with these swatches, because they have 3 different skin tones, but there's not actually a variety in the skin tones. And like, I definitely side-eye the brand for doing that. But obviously, like, I still talk about them, still use it. I still am affiliated with them because they do send PR to a variety of people, and they do send it out early. Like, you can see swatches in different skin tones, but I think that their actual like marketing photos could definitely be done better. All right, y'all. So those are all of the hot takes. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that we could all have a good, respectful conversation in the comments down below. If you are hateful or nasty, you will be removed very efficiently from my channel. That is everything. I'll see you tomorrow for another day of Indiemas. Bye.